Welcome back to the Stargazers channel, and welcome to another deep dive in our series, Best Jobs for Each Zodiac Sign. Ever wondered if maybe, just maybe, the stars hold a clue to your perfect career?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
It really is. Today we're zoning in on one sign specifically, looking at career paths through that astrological lens. And honestly, the insights might just click in a way you didn't expect.
That's right. We're going to unpack 10 distinct career fields that seem particularly well suited to the traits of the Taurus zodiac sign. So whether you happen to be a Taurus, or maybe you know one well, or you're just curious about how astrology and work life might intersect, well, you're about to hear some really interesting connections.
Absolutely. And you want to stick with us, because really understanding these astrological leanings could give you a whole new perspective, maybe on your own career goals, or perhaps it'll help you appreciate the talents of the Taurians around you.
You never know, might spark an idea for your next big move.
Exactly. So today's focus, the career horoscope for Taurus. That's anyone born between April 20th and May 20th.
And our mission, really, is to explore those core Taurus personality traits. You know, what makes them tick, and then how do those characteristics naturally seem to align with certain jobs, certain professions? We're drawing on sort of established astrological insights here for this deep dive.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What are the core personality traits we usually associate with Taurus?
Well, fundamentally, Taurus is an earth sign. So think grounded, practical. They generally have a very realistic outlook on things.
Right, solid.
Yeah, solid is a good word. They're known for patience, a real sense of stability, and responsibility. They take things seriously.
And they can stick with things, right? See projects through.
Definitely. That ability to stay focused and see something through to the end is a hallmark. They don't give up easily.
And they're ruled by Venus, which always makes me think of, well, beauty and art.
Exactly. That Venus influence is strong. It often translates into an interest in things like cooking, maybe music, gardening, visual arts, generally an appreciation for aesthetics and, let's be honest, comfort.
Comfort and luxury, yes. I've heard that too. Gentle, but also quite firm.
Gentle yet fierce is a good way to put it. They're incredibly loyal, but they also tend to have pretty strong opinions once they make up their mind.
Hard to shift them.
Can be. They don't always enjoy change, that's true. And criticism isn't always their favorite thing to hear.
Okay, interesting. But that stubbornness, maybe it ties into their success, that tenacity.
Yeah, absolutely. That tenacity is key. It really drives their success and makes them, potentially excellent employees because they are so determined.
Okay, so we have these traits. Grounded, patient, Venus-ruled appreciation for beauty, tenacious, maybe a bit resistant to change. How does all that typically play out in the workplace for a Taurus?
Well, once a Taurus finds a career path they genuinely enjoy, that determination really kicks in. They often have this steady way of climbing the corporate ladder. They tend to thrive in roles that value persistence, high productivity, consistently meeting deadlines. That suits their nature. So
consistency is key. What kind of jobs might not be such a great fit then?
Roles that are constantly changing, really rapidly evolving, those can be challenging. Think maybe certain fast-paced medical fields like ER work, maybe. That constant flux might clash with their need for stability.
Right, that makes sense. They like to know what's coming.
Pretty much. And sometimes they're not always seen as having the strongest people skills in a traditional sense, or like super high empathy. So highly social roles, like maybe social work, might not play to their core strengths as much.
Okay. But as employees, generally reliable.
Oh, absolutely. Stellar employees in many ways. Meticulous, disciplined, punctual. They often prefer to really focus maybe on one task at a time and just get it done right.
So less about juggling a million things, more about deep focus.
Often, yes. They might not always be the ones throwing out the wildest, most innovative ideas off the cuff. But you can absolutely count on them to take an assigned task and see it through reliably and thoroughly.
Got it. So we're thinking roles that are goal-oriented, maybe money-driven, perhaps involving nature or precision, practicality, that sort of thing.
That sums it up nicely. Okay, shall we dive into the 10 specific career matches often suggested?
Let's do it. Number 1 is artist.
Right, and this loops straight back to that Venus influence we mentioned. They often have this innate artistic personality, and combine that with their meticulous, disciplined nature, it allows them to really focus on the details, the composition.
And that persistence probably helps immensely in actually finishing creative projects, which isn't always easy.
Exactly. So things like production art, visual effects, book illustration, graphic design, roles where you need both the creative spark and that focused, goal-driven approach.
Makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Okay, number 2, banking or finance administration. Quite a shift.
It seems like it, but it actually aligns really well with their pragmatic side. That meticulous, careful nature is a huge asset in finance.
Ah, right. Taurus is sometimes called the manager of money in the zodiac, isn't it?
That's the reputation. Roles like banker, finance admin, investment banker, accountant, even cashier. They often have a knack for calculations, for making money, and importantly, for keeping it. That stability focus again.
Okay, that fits. Number 3 takes us back towards aesthetics. The beauty and fashion industry.
Yes, Venus again. That love of luxury, the eye for beauty, for aesthetics, it's a natural pull.
So their artistic side, the eye for detail, plus being goal-oriented, that seems like a good combo for, say, fashion design.
Yeah.
Or maybe buying for high-end brands.
Definitely. Or even fashion modeling, beauty blogging, where presentation is key, perhaps decorating. Anywhere that eye for beauty and detail can shine.
Interesting. Okay, number 4 moves into science. Biologist or botanist.
This taps into that potential love of nature. If a Taurus is scientifically inclined, this could be a great fit. Think about it. The ability to focus for long periods, the attention to detail needed for research, being meticulous, the project-driven approach. And research often requires real endurance, right? Finding answers takes time. That fits their perseverance.
That connection feels really strong. Okay, number 5 is even more hands-on with nature. Agriculture or farming.
Yes, for the Taurus who really loves nature and enjoys tangible, hands-on work, things like farming, gardening, landscaping, it makes a lot of sense.
It requires skill, attention to detail, perseverance,
Yeah,
all those Taurus traits.
exactly. And it often allows them to focus on one project or task at a time, working methodically, maybe even repetitively, which can suit their style.
Okay, next up, number 6, chef. I like this one.
Me too! And it works, right? Taurians often genuinely love food.
Yeah.
And that close attention to detail we keep mentioning, crucial in the kitchen. Plus, being goal-focused, perfecting a dish.
And the perseverance. Kitchen work is demanding, repeating things until they're perfect.
That's it. That endurance helps them master the craft.
Okay, number 7, construction. This sounds like it uses their practical strength.
It really does.
Yeah.
That laser focus, the ability to work for hours on the same task, even if it's tough or repetitive, that's a big plus in construction. And they're driven to complete goals, especially if the compensation is good, which, let's face it, matters to Taurus.
Right, that stability. And maybe that inherent artistic side helps with working with their hands, building things.
Could be. Plus, that practical nature, the stubbornness, tenacity, discipline, it all lends strength to challenging physical work.
Okay, number 8 is interesting. Leader or politician?
Yeah, this points to their natural determination and independence. Astrologically, they're often seen as having leadership qualities. Once they decide on a course of action, they become incredibly focused and will pursue that goal right to the end. Very determined.
And there are some notable historical figures cited as Taurians in leadership, right? Which kind of backs this up.
There are, yes. It suggests that potential is definitely there.
Okay, number 9 builds on that. Executive or manager?
This feels like a natural blend, doesn't it? That leadership potential combined with their financial common sense.
Their pragmatism.
Exactly. Pragmatic, focused, resourceful, meticulous, responsible. All great traits for management, plus that ability to focus on a goal and see it through. And their aversion to debt, their love of stability, that usually translates to good financial management for a company, too.
Dependable, resourceful, observant. Yet it fits. Success and achievement seem to come naturally when they're in the right role.
It often does. Okay, finally, number 10 brings us back to the arts. Musician or singer?
So that artistic sense really does run deep, even with the practical side.
It seems so. Despite the disciplined personality, there's often this gift for music. And again, think about practice. The ability to focus for long hours, the patience for repetition needed to become proficient, that's pure Taurus energy.
Or maybe music conductor.
Yeah.
Or teacher. Still requires that focus and dedication.
Good point. Those are great options, too.
Wow, okay. So that's 10 pretty diverse fields. When you look at them all together, what are the main takeaways? What are the common threads for Taurus careers?
Well, you definitely see careers that value stability, persistence, a methodical approach. That comes through again and again. There's also that clear affinity for the arts, but also for finance and for roles connected to nature or the earth.
And that leadership potential seems important too, often tied to being financially responsible.
Yes, exactly. And while we noted that change isn't their favorite thing, their sheer tenacity often means they succeed anyway once they've chosen their path. They just power through.
So understanding those core tendencies really can point towards jobs where they're likely to feel, well, comfortable and successful.
That's the idea. It offers a framework for thinking about where they might naturally thrive.
It's definitely fascinating to see how these Taurus characteristics could map onto the professional world. But of course, it's important to remember this is just, one perspective.
Oh, absolutely. A crucial point. The traits we've talked about, patience, determination, appreciating beauty, being practical, those are valuable in so many different jobs, no matter what your sign is.
For sure. We really hope this deep dive into potential jobs for Taurus has sparked some interesting thoughts for you listening, whether you are a Taurus or you just find this stuff interesting.
And if you are curious about getting a more personalized look, something deeper into your own unique astrological chart, we put a link in the description below with some resources for that. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Stargazers.
Yes, thank you. Until our next exploration of the stars and what they might tell us, may your own path be filled with purpose and fulfillment. God bless.